Episode 37 of the Pop Culture Experience. How is everyone doing out there where you are? If you're in Melbourne, Australia, Victoria, I should say, at this point. Yep. We're in a 6-week lockdown, full lockdown, stage 4, and isn't life grand? No issues with being in a lockdown, but it's just, it's a little defeating at this point when you just kind of think, hey, maybe we're coming out of this. And then you're not. And yeah, so here we are, stage 4, 6-week lockdown. And I got to be honest, it's today I was sort of like, well, do I do an episode? Like I can't really, not really feeling it necessarily, but that's okay because, sometimes you got to push through. A true professional would push through. So here I sit, a true professional. Even though the motivation is lacking a little bit. Now, obviously, multifaceted. All right, you've got the news, very doom and gloom. All right, very doom and gloom. And you sort of, it's hard to not take it all on board, isn't it? It's hard to not be sitting there thinking, gosh, you can't get away from this stuff. Now, in addition to that, I've started a new job, which has been fantastic. So I'm probably a little bit tired too, I hadn't worked for, 3 to 4 months. Which has just never happened ever since I started working. So, maybe I adjusted a little too much to the free time, if you will. But I think it is more so the constant barrage of bad news, death tolls, infection rates, outbreaks. It's hard to get away from it. But at that point, I said no. No, that is why I will do an episode this week, because it's needed. For the handful of people that watch, they might appreciate, a little bit of news that is different. A little bit of fun news. A little bit of discussion about something other than death tolls, quarantines, and what else did I say? Other pandemic-related things. Now, just quickly, I've started a quarantine diet, a lockdown diet, should I say, because I tell you, the weight was piling on. The weight was absolutely piling on. So I'm on one of those, shake diets now. And what better way to do it than to motivate you with a protein shaker that, fits, this is a wrestler. This is a wrestler's brand. So it sort of fits my personality a little bit in terms of nerd. Also, every time I drink my weight loss shake from this, it puts the image in my mind of who this guy is that's on my shaker, and I think, God, maybe I'll look like that. Seth Rollins from the WWE. So thanks to Nick Hollingsworth for that little gift. Fantastic little extra motivator that I've got here. So, excuse me. Just chocolate flavor today. Nice and simple. Can never go wrong. Never go wrong. So what else? What else has been happening? It was great. Last week's episode went really well. Thanks for the feedback on that. Thanks for the listens, more importantly. I tell you, it helps when you have a name on there who's got his own little following. Mr. Dean Rankin was fantastic last week on the podcast, and Simpsons, man, I almost feel like I do him a disservice now. After our conversation, you would have seen the video on the socials, but, Dean said, I'm always first introduced as the Simpsons guy. And that's fine. And it should be fine. I would love to be known as the Simpsons guy. Can you imagine? Life would be pretty good. But, Dean was fantastic last week. Loved every second of our chat. Is today going to be as good? Probably not. Probably not. It's going to be different, though. It's going to be different. There's no guest today. This is the extent of it. Me and you. So, we'll go through some stuff. Got some talking points. And just flesh it out. Because, when you're not that motivated, Well, that's not true. When you're living in a time like we are at the moment, sometimes there's just not much jumping out to talk about. There's not heaps out there. There's a handful of things. But there's nothing that makes you go, gosh, that demands an episode. That, at least not right now. The last week, things are slow. Things are slow in Hollywood. Things are slow in the entertainment industry in general. I mean, you look on free-to-air TV, and what do you see? Well, I've gone through this. Reality TV show stuff. They'll run out of that at some point, and I'm not overly interested. I saw one the other day, Tag, or Extreme Tag, or something. What was it? Something on Channel 9 or something. Wow. Here we go. Let me pull this up. Extreme Tag. How about this? Tag show on Ultimate Tag. Ultimate Tag. So if you are sitting there thinking, what the hell is Ultimate Tag? It's literally tag. People playing tag on TV. And it's ultimate because they've set it up in a way that looks like... what is it? It's it's that show where they do the Ultimate Ninja Warrior. God, sorry, apologies. So yeah, that looks bad. So there's not a whole heap to talk about at the moment. There's just not. It's not much to talk about. Mugs going well. Still awaiting on the most recent delivery. Sorry for those that have ordered a mug. You know what? There may be a delivery turning up right this second, which could be the mugs. Hang on. I've got my blind open here, so I can see out the driveway. I reckon it's going to be my mugs turning up here. If this is going to be fantastic viewing. Because I'll unbox right now. I don't care. There might be a lull in the video, but that's fun. Anyway, we'll find out in just a second if a delivery guy walks up this driveway with a big box. I've been waiting on these for a while. Yeah, I know you've ordered. I know you've ordered your mug. A lot of people have. And I was told they were going to arrive 2 days after orders were placed. But we live in a pandemic world. So, not only is my news being affected, what I can talk about on the show, but, my merch deliveries are out the window too. So, yeah, anyway. Alright, I just checked. It wasn't the mugs. It was not the mugs. Okay, false alarm. That's okay. Would have been a good little moment for the show, but we're not going to get that. Okay. Where was I? Now, yeah, got some days off. Next 2 days, today and tomorrow, I've got off from the new gig. And I thought, hey, shit, maybe this is a good time for the big fella to start. The big LEGO Batmobile. Now, I've got it here. Cheapers, creepers. Yeah, she's big. And you know what I did? I made a huge error. So I went on YouTube to look at it because I wanted to see what does it look like when it's done. I was genuinely quite curious. I thought, well, that'll give me a good motivational, idea of what's to come and the work that might be involved. Huge error, because now I'm shit scared of even starting, because it's incredibly complicated. Now, hang on, I think these are the mugs. I think the mugs are here. Thanks, mate. Oh, brilliant, thank you. It's not the mugs. I can't believe I stopped then to take an order for mugs that weren't ended up being the mugs. They weren't the mugs. God, this has become a mess, this podcast. I very much do apologise. Okay. So the mugs still aren't here. Back to what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Batmobile. Okay, hang on. Okay. So I'm really scared. Really scared to start it because there's things like what do they call them when like things that make the whole thing move? There's just a lot of bits. There's a lot of bits. Yeah. And I knew it would be big. But you know, sometimes you just think, yeah, okay, well, I'll just have to sit there for a long time and it'll just take me a long time to put it together. Yeah, but this is going to require some sort of know-how with Lego, and I don't have that. I've got a very smart girlfriend. She'll probably be able to help, but yeah. Good birthday present. Just, I'm too scared to open it because once it's open, you know you have to do it. You know, like once I crack that first bag of Lego, well, you know, you're in over your head then. And you've just got to try and work out of the whole thing. So, yeah. Anyway. So I might try that. If I do, when I do, I'm not going to not try to build it, you know, but when I do it, I'll try and film it. I'll do a little camera setup and then do like a fast build, which will actually be a really long build, but you'll get the idea. You know, we'll have a bit of fun with it because, you know, I've got to try and get something out of it. I've already told Georgia that when she helps me build it, which she'll have to do, I'll be walking around dressed like Batman. Just not Batman, probably Bruce Wayne. You know, just building the Batmobile. Figured that might motivate me that little bit more. What else? Actually, I've been watching some good stuff. You know what I've decided to do? I made the decision to go back and finish shows, like utilize this time to go back and finish shows that I never got around to finishing. So at the moment, I've dived into Silicon Valley, which, you know, if you've watched Silicon Valley, you know it's a fantastic show, and I know it's a fantastic show, and I really loved the first 2 seasons when I was watching them. But back then, I didn't have access to the show with any real ease. I used to have to, I think download it. And when I say download, you know what I mean. I had to illegally download. And that became too hard. That was years ago. And over time, you lose track of those things that you're meant to be keeping on top of. And now I've signed up to Binge, which is the Foxtel streaming service, and they're all there. They're all there, ready to just click on and, you know, start watching from where you left off. It took me a little while to try and work out, where did I finish? I didn't quite finish season 2. Oh, wow, okay. You start watching and you watch 1 or 2 and you start putting pieces together like, oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah, okay. I tell you, I'm in a groove now. And I'm loving it. I'm loving Silicon Valley. Still got, I think, 3 full seasons to go. And yeah, really excited about that. Really loving it. The other one I've got to finish is Suits. Never got around to finishing Suits, and that's all now on Netflix. So that's a good little exciting thing that I've got, you know, stored at the back for when I finish Silicon Valley. In addition to that, what else? Oh, George is saying that Hollywood on Netflix is meant to be great, and that I'd really like it. Now, I wasn't surprised to hear that. You know, old-timey Hollywood. I love things from that era. The fashion, I think, is what I like best. Excuse me while weight loss shake. Yeah. I love that. That's that time period. So that war time where people, you know, Hollywood wasn't necessarily as exclusive as what it is now. I mean, it was, but it wasn't, you know. Well, you could almost argue it's not that exclusive anymore. You know, I mean, you've got YouTube stars starring in movies. Anyway, you know what I mean. So I reckon I might give that a go. That's meant to be really good. It's got the guy from Big Bang Theory. which I never watched. I watched a little bit here and there, but I never really got into it. What's his name? It's not Eugene. What's that nerdy name? Oh, God, how many of you are screaming at me right now? Big Bang Theory. It's almost embarrassing I've got to do this. Sheldon. I apologize. Yeah, so I might give Hollywood a go as well. And you know what? I will give Hollywood a go just because I know that she really wants me to watch it. So you do the right thing and keep everybody happy. Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit of news. Is there any news? I feel like this is falling apart, this show. As I said off the top, I went in thinking, will I, won't I do an episode? I've done an episode and it's starting to, the cracks are appearing. So, apologies, but we'll try and bring it back together. It all happened because of the mugs. I thought the mugs were here, which were going to be for a lot of people that are watching this. Thought I'd be able to, get the deliveries out, give people a little pick-me-up during their 6-week isolation here in Melbourne, but it wasn't the mugs at all. And in the process, all he did was derail the show. Okay, anyway, moving on. News. Pop culture news. Let's talk a little bit of fun stuff, okay? Now, this caught my eye because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, okay, he has purchased the XFL. Now, you're probably sitting there going, do you mean NFL? No, I don't mean NFL. Do you mean NHL? No, I don't mean. No, I meant X. It is X, and it is football, American football, gridiron, if you will. It was this league, right? That Vince McMahon, the power broker of WWE, the man, the brains behind everything that is professional wrestling, in the 90s said, a lot of money in football. Let's do a football league to compete with the NFL. And, people were like, well, that's a ballsy move. The NFL is king. There is no competition. Why would you do that? And his whole thing was, well, we'll pay people better, but we will also get people that maybe aren't getting a chance in the NFL. We'll get people that are older and were forced to retire from the NFL, and we'll bring them in, and we'll make it this entertainment-focused football event. So on top of the sport, there was all these varied rules, which made it a bit more, it made it a bit of a joke, a little bit. But at the same time, there was virtually strippers that would come on the ground. And when I say strippers, they were meant to be like cheerleaders, but it was the 90s. It's probably more strippers. It was an extreme version of NFL. All right? Not overly child-friendly. The demographic was the same that the wrestling demographic was back in the 90s, which was, middle-aged, young to middle-aged men. You could argue that's still the demographic of the NFL. Just a bit more kid-friendly. So they did that, and it failed miserably. All right, they went bankrupt pretty quick. Vince just pulled the plug on it, said, "No, I'll just go back to wrestling." Until 2019, and Vince said, "Okay, you know what? You know what might be a good idea? Let's start up the XFL again." And it was apparently doing pretty well. Apparently it was a lot better this time. It was less of a joke of the sport, and it was more, they were taking it a bit more serious. They had the players were better. They weren't doing the risque and, eyebrow-raising stuff they were doing in the 90s. And so it was seen as a bit more of a legitimate football league this time around. Fast forward to a pandemic, and that quickly squashed any chance of that actually gaining any legs and therefore, thriving. So that didn't happen. That didn't end up happening. And what did happen was they went bankrupt. And so the bank owned the XFL. And at that point, that's when people swoop. People swoop in and they try and pick up the bones, feast off the bones, I should say. Is that the saying? Maybe. And who swoops in on Vince McMahon's brainchild, picks it up, and buys it as his own to relaunch as his own? Well, your mate, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, it's fitting. You wonder how Vince would feel. He made this guy, Made The Rock. The Rock is nothing without Vince McMahon. And now he's The Rock picking up the XFL, something Vince had to let go of due to a pandemic, and running with it as his own. Now, here's the thing. You can't blame The Rock for doing that, but what would make me pissed off if I was Vince McMahon is when it's no doubt going to be a success, because everything The Rock touches does inevitably turn to gold. As we've seen, he does everything. He does TV shows, he does movies, he produces, he writes, he acts, he directs probably, and now he's going to own a sports league. And who's not going to want to be a part of that sports league where The Rock is owning it, knowing that he is as successful businessman as he is, and that he is, everyone wants to be attached to the Rock brand. I would. Wouldn't you? You definitely would want to be attached to that. So, yeah, that I found that interesting. I wonder if they had a conversation. Wonder if there was any, Vince, just quick one, real quick, just picking up the rights to the XFL. Yeah, that's you don't mind, do you? No. That's a bad Vince McMahon. Let's stop that. Let's stop that conversation right now. You get the idea, though. Very interesting times. Next in the news, what else we have? We had Patty Jenkins, director of Wonder Woman, has apparently said Wonder Woman 3 will be her last. Interesting, since we haven't even seen Wonder Woman 2 yet. So apparently that's going to be a trilogy. That will be a trilogy. Does make you wonder. I wonder if it'll be better without her as a director. I wonder if it'll be worse. I didn't love the first Wonder Woman as much as other people seem to. People seem to just love it. I was on the fence. I was on the fence with Wonder Woman. It was okay, but there's nothing about this news that makes me go, geez, hold the phone. We can't have Wonder Woman anymore. No, not at all. Not at all. So yeah, there you go. Wonder Woman 3, Patty Jenkins last. Make of that what you will. I don't have much more to add to that. It just caught my eye. Thought I'd raise it with you guys, let you know about it. TikTok. I'm not on it. I've thought about it. Thought extensively about it. I almost thought about doing one for the show. Callum Dorset, who was on this show the other week, said, hey, get a TikTok for the podcast. Fantastic way of advertising the show. And I thought, gosh, how much more do I need to do to advertise the show? I do so much. Apparently there's more. And so I've been thinking about TikTok, right? And then I see this in the news about the whole Donald Trump wanting to ban TikTok from the US because of concern regarding privacy breaches, because it's a Chinese app, and all this stuff about how American citizens' data is being stolen by the Chinese and then manipulated, and all that, classic Donald stuff. And it just made me laugh, because at this point, this is why we can't have nice things. Okay, now granted, I don't know. There could be a concern. There could be a genuine security concern. But isn't it, it just always feels like with Donald, it's a case of anything that people like, that people rally behind, that people are able to voice their opinion on or raise their concerns on. Donald just quickly throws the wet blanket on. Hang on. Enough of that. Let's fix that. Can we get rid of that? Okay. People are... Because that's what is on TikTok. There's a lot of people just, slandering Donald, which certainly not TikTok's fault. But anyway, Microsoft. This is where it gets interesting. I've been watching a lot of Silicon Valley, so I feel like I'm in on this a little bit. Feel like I'm in with the lingo, even though I'm not about to use any tech lingo whatsoever because it does intimidate me. Microsoft have said to Trump, "Hey, don't worry, we'll just purchase it. We'll just go buy it. It's okay. And then we can control everything on our end and make sure it's American safe." Boy, if I've learned anything watching Silicon Valley about the tech world, it's that people with a lot of money can control everything. Control everything. And we can all just continue to be totally oblivious to it. Hang on, little sip. I mean, this is breakfast. That's what this shake is. It's breakfast. It's so thick, though, that you have to really suck it out. Might not say that sentence again. Okay. So TikTok. I don't know what that's going to mean moving forward. I assume nothing for us here in Australia. But, I guess we'll see what kind of control Donald can get on other things, other platforms. I mean, he's surely... Yeah, you'd think he'd come after Facebook and Instagram, but I think the reality is that those... Zuckerberg is probably already in bed with the politics within America. He's doing his bit. He's not a trustworthy individual, is he? He'll probably have this video taken down now. Mark. So, if he does, we know why. But best part is there's an audio version, which will be on, YouTube. Well, there's a video version, which will be on YouTube, but also the podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. Now, I don't think Zuckerberg owns any of them yet. But his mates do, so they'll probably just have this taken down. Anyway, Zuckerberg may be in bed with them. That's why they're not going after Facebook or Instagram, because they're all, pretty... fair bit of freedom of speech. But there is also that ability to report and for Facebook or Instagram to take down your content if they deem it to be, what's the word they use? Offensive? Which is always interesting when it comes to politics and what people deem offensive. But yeah, anyway, that was that. I think I had one more bit of news. I'm just going to try and wrap this show up because it's been a total just derailment since the mug situation. June. You know what we were talking about with Justin the other week? June, the film. Yeah, apparently that's not looking good for a release this year anymore either. And granted, I didn't think it would. I don't think we're getting movies this year now. There might be a Christmas miracle and we get the Christmas Day releases. But besides that, I think anything between now and then is done. But, maybe a blessing in disguise for June, because the director has come out and said, the pandemic stuffed me. I was meant to go out and reshoot some things. I had all this time put aside for reshoots, and I got given permission to go and do reshoots, and, now it's done. It's done because I can't go anywhere. I can't travel to where I need to. The pandemic's ruined another thing. I've had a gutful of it. I've pushed through this podcast. I'm going to have to leave it here because why did I end on such a sour note? Why did I have to end on another thing the pandemic's ruined? I genuinely don't know what this episode's going to sound like when it's uploaded. I don't know what it's going to look like when you watch the video. I'm trying to do or at least the occasional full-length video episode on YouTube now, just to try and, give some variety. Increase the production value. So, this is the first one where I've done this. I've got two cameras going. So, I might sit down to edit this and go, oh my goodness, what were you thinking that was going to look like? Because it didn't look a thing like it, which will be sad. But yeah, I guess we'll wait and see what happens with that. Anyway, look, I'm going to wrap this episode up. I apologize about the mug ordeal. I realize that really threw this episode into disarray. I don't often like to leave the microphone during a show, to rush to the door, to do anything. Usually I'll wave people away. Go away. Oh, the mics we're live. We're live in here. But when it's the mugs and when it could have been a moment for the show where I got to walk in and say, they're here, because those of you who have ordered it, you've heard from me. You've heard. Shit, sorry. They're meant to be here by now. And you know what that pandemic post is like. I just felt like it was a good opportunity. And the fact I've spoken about it this much coming out of that moment where the delivery arrived, I feel like I can't even edit it all out. It's just going to have to stay in, and it's just going to have to be a clunky episode. But that's okay, because you know why? That's the perks of being your own content director, your own executive producer, your own network. I'm just talking at this point. I got nothing else for you guys. Look, if you're in Melbourne and you're in full lockdown, if you're in Victoria and you're in full lockdown, try and make do best you can. Find things that distract you. Find things that take your mind off things. I came into this episode not wanting to do it, not feeling up to it. I actually, to be honest, feel a lot better having done it. This is a release each week for me. This is something where I get to sit down, talk fun things. Next week I might try and have someone back on to, get that, interaction going. Because that's always good too. Find people to talk to your friends, talk to your family. Hell, talk to anyone you possibly can. Go onto a bloody Facebook forum if you want. You go on a forum. Who am I talking to? Go onto a Facebook comments of something you want to engage in and just, either, have an intellectual conversation with somebody about something you're passionate about or spray them for something you don't believe in they're saying. If you're wanting to do the abuse one, go to Twitter. A lot more fun. I constantly find myself getting in trouble on Twitter. On that note, you can follow me on Twitter. Daniel O'Kelly1 is my user if you're looking for it. I'm a bit of a coward on Twitter, though. I tend to like more stuff. Sometimes repost the occasional thing with, the intent of escalating humiliation for those that deserve it. I don't know. I guess that's one thing I do. But other than that, look, hit up the social media accounts for the Facebook page. Let's wrap this thing up. We need to get out of here. You can follow the podcast on the Facebook page, The Pop Culture Experience. You can search that, like it, follow it. Fantastic. Now, all Instagram posts for The Pop Culture Experience go through the Cheeky Leprechaun Instagram account. You can find it there. Follow that, like that, do your thing. Now, I also post weekly episodes on my own personal Instagram account, which you can follow me on. Now, what the hell is my personal Daniel_O'Kelly is what my Instagram handle is. Follow me there. That gives you some more, episode updates. Yeah, maybe some. You can order a mug through any of those channels I've just listed there. I'm struggling to even get the social channels out at this point. This is a mess of an episode. You can do that, and don't forget, listen, download, subscribe to the podcast. That's why we come here. You can do that on the channels, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. Do it. Upload, subscribe. Don't upload. What would you upload? I don't know. Subscribe, listen, download, like, comment, review. I got it in the end. Leave you to it, guys. Have a good week. I'm Dan O'Kelly. This is Pop Culture Experience. I've never said that at the end of an episode until right now. Have a good week.
This has been a Cheeky Leprechaun production.